Awesome, thanks guys. How y'all doing today? It's a southern accent, just like real southern, down under. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys been enjoying the day so far. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let's get started talking. Turn it on. That'll help. Gotcha. So let's get started talking about sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is the blood of every business. Like it's where the money comes from. It's how you grow your business. So we're going to talk about that today. Just real quickly, why listen to me? Like Jared said, I grew my first business to 300 staff. I was in charge of the sales and marketing. I had 90 salespeople that worked directly for me. I managed $1 million a month in advertising spend, growing the business, and we IPO'd on the Australian Stock Exchange with a valuation of $315 million. Now I'm in Louisiana, and I'm doing real estate. I'm focused on distressed real estate acquisitions. We've closed 191 wholesale deals, real estate transactions here in Louisiana. We're in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and we're expanding to Lafayette right now. But I won't bore you with my story. If you do want to hear my story, I will be speaking on Friday at on NOLA at the part of Entrepreneurs Week as well, if you want to hear that. Or I did a really good podcast with Jared and Lauren on the In the Arena podcast. But let's talk about sales and marketing. Because like I said, it's really how you're going to grow your business. It's where the revenue's coming from. It's going to pay the bills. It's going to pay that payroll for you. So, marketing generates opportunities and they turn into revenue for your business. Marketing and sales work together to create a funnel of revenue that's going to pay your bills. For me, marketing and sales works hand in hand. It's really the same thing. In some businesses here, the marketing will do the heavy lifting, like sometimes all the way through to sales. You might be able to have an e-commerce business that the marketing will drive the sales and the website will drive you all the way to revenue, whereas some of you might need more actual sales. Earlier on, the marketing might generate a lead, and you might need salespeople to generate that sale. And it just depends on your business model. But to me, it's all working through the same thing to turn someone from not knowing about your business to being a paid customer at the end of the day. So how can you think about utilizing marketing and sales in your business? So I just wanted to share a simple model that I think is very helpful for every business. Has everyone heard of ADA? Who's heard of ADA? Not many hands. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to learn something today. And just maybe to help me, can I get an idea, what sort of businesses do we have in the room? Give me some businesses. I know we've got a painter here. Sorry? Okay. Consulting? Real estate? Insurance? You make hats? You sell them online? Cool. Anything else? Mortgage lending? Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you, that's helpful. So ADA. ADA just stands for awareness, interest, desire, action. Okay? Or sometimes people call it attention, interest, desire, action. And really, this is just a process you need to take someone through to end up being a paying customer of yours, right? They need to be aware of you. They need to know that you exist. They need to have interest in your service or your product. They need to have desire to wear those beautiful hats, to paint, to get their house painted, and they need to take action. They need to be a paying customer, and that's really the role of sales and marketing, is to take them through that process. So let's start at awareness. Awareness, people need to know that you exist. Your job is to create brand awareness. When I say one call, that's all, who do you think of? Cool. If I talk about Matt Bowers, what sort of product am I talking about? Yeah, so these are businesses that have done a really good job of building awareness. You know who they are, what they do, right? So for your business, you need to build awareness, and that could be like a mass marketing campaign, like Morris Bart. It doesn't have to be that. If you're a smaller business, you just need to make sure that the people know about you. The wonder that Lauren talked about. Your target market, you need to make sure they know that you exist. So what are some ways to do that? Many ways you can target this awareness, but it can start at social media posts, social media ads. So you could do a big paid campaign on social media to like build awareness to your target market. If you've identified who that is and you know Wanda and her age bracket, you can do a targeted campaign. Also, if you're just a smaller business, just posting to your network. You know, like someone's in real estate, like does your network know you're a realtor? You know, are you posting about it? Are you building awareness that that's a service that you offer? Billboards, you know, we talk about Morris Bart is a great way to build awareness. Your retail stores or vehicles can be an awareness. Like if you're, Michael, did your truck, do you say you're a painter? On your truck, like do you have signage on your truck? So it can be signage on your truck. If you've got a retail store, like how that's presented, like what's the signage? Does it stand out? Is there a message? Like that can build awareness. So you need to be building awareness of your product. TV is a great way to build awareness. Expensive, you need to build enough revenue, to have a big enough target market to be able to justify that spend. But it's obviously a really great way to build awareness en masse. Radio, cold calling. Again, if you can identify your Wanda, if you know your target market and can like reach them in a way, there's a list, like a lot of real estate people, expired listings, if you're a real estate investor, code violations. If you are targeting contractors as your target market, you can pull lists of them. So if you can know who they are, cold calling can be a really good way to generate awareness of your business. Search engine optimization and SEM can be a really cost-effective way for a small business to build awareness, because the hack on that is if someone is searching in Google for something, they're searching, they want to buy a hat, right? There's already an intent that's been shown. So if you can build awareness to that person, if you can have a really good headline on a Google ad or a Google search engine optimization and get them to click through, then that's a really good way to build attention to the right market. Word of mouth is a way to get awareness and PR, etc. So, but really your first goal is just to make sure people know what you do, right? But that's not enough. You need to get interest. Once someone's aware that you exist, the next step is to get them interested in what you offer. Get them to like what you do. So if you're a consultant, right? You want them to know that you're a consultant, but then you want them to be interested in your topic. Whatever it is you're consulting on, you want them to be able to follow you. You want them to be able to learn how you help people. So you need to build that interest. Really good ways to do that: social media. Just get them to follow you. If you get them to follow your page on social media, you can start to post content and start to understand more about what you do. Newsletters is a really good way to build interest. If you can sign, again, on the consultant, you've got a specialty. If you can do a newsletter on that, you can continually communicate with these people, and so they're building interest in what you're doing. Blogs, product demonstrations and trials, that can be a really good way to do it. You want to get your hats in front of people, let people try them on. You want to demonstrate what you're doing. Brochures, white papers if you're got a technical business. YouTube channels, sharing what it is you do. And remarketing is a really powerful tool, so that, if you can use remarketing, if someone's visited your website, you can target them wherever they travel. You can do through Google Ad Network, you can hit them with display ads on other pages, you can use YouTube marketing so that when they've seen your site, when they're visiting somewhere else, they're learning more about what you do. So you just got to get them interested in your services. But interest is enough. You got to build desire, right? The next step, after they know who you are, they know you exist, they're interested in what you're doing, you then need them to want your product, right? You need them to move from I like what you do to I want what you do. And here you really want to get people to visualize the benefits of using your service. You want them to see for themselves how it can work for them. Right? So really good ways to do this is you can use testimonials and social proof, seeing people who have benefited from your consulting services, seeing before and after photos of the beautiful painting that you've done in people's house, how you've given them a beautiful New Orleans style like color on their house. You use sales staff demonstrating solutions for them. Getting sales involved is a really good point. If you can get someone speaking to your prospects at this point and tailoring something for them, giving them a quote, talking about their needs and getting them close to actually purchasing your product. Leveraging influencers and local partnerships is also a really good way to build desire. Seeing local people, local celebrities, people in their network having benefited from your products and services. So you want to build that desire, but desire is not enough. You need action. So action is from people wanting your service to actually buying it. And there's lots of times when you can do a really good job at marketing and people can really want to use your services, but they just don't end up doing it. You need to engage them and get them to buy. I can think of, can you think of a restaurant that you know about it, you've always heard about it, you like it, you believe it's really good, friends that go there and you just haven't been, you just haven't taken action. So you need to do something to get them over the line and ultimately purchase your service or product. So a really good way to build action is to have a sense of urgency in your offerings, right? Because people I want to buy it, I like it, I tried on the hat, it looks great, but I'll think about it, I'll get it later, they're not taking that action. So if you can create urgency, it moves them from wanting it to I need to do it now. And that's a really important way to get sales. So the way you can do this is limited quantity offers. Like there might be a sale for the first X amount of customers or for a certain amount of time. But just creating a sense of urgency so you turn that desire into an actual sale is very important for your business. You can reduce friction, right? If you can offer, Lauren talked about a guarantee. If you can guarantee your product, if that's possible. If you can offer a warranty on your service, on your product, that can be helpful. Free returns, if you're running an e-commerce site, if you're shipping a product, offering that free return is you're taking the friction away so they can just purchase it right now and feel safe that they can return it. So you're getting that action. That's really important to do that. Abandoned cart. So again, if you're an e-commerce store and people have added an item to a cart and they haven't purchased it, you need to go back to them. You need to email them. You need to try to get that action because you obviously built desire. They put that product in their cart, but they didn't finish the action. So if you can engage them and give them some incentive to come back. My wife actually figured out the hack for Polo, by the way. She figured out at Polo, if she added stuff to her cart and didn't buy it, they always came back and gave it a 10% discount. So she does that religiously, but it worked. She figured out because she got that discount and she bought it. And she continues to buy from them. Too much, actually. Social proof at decision points can be very, very helpful. So, if it's online, putting testimonials at the decision point. If you're a retail outlet, putting, happy customers, having those case studies. If you're a contractor, having a portfolio of your work so that you can make people comfortable when it comes time to sign and go ahead. Getting people to follow up leads. There's so many sales that you probably have a lot of people who you actually have know that you exist, like what you do, want to use you, but they just haven't made that decision. So if you can contact them, reach out to them, call them, give them a special, email them, it's a very good way to activate that attention to turn that into revenue. And just ask for the sale. Just lots of people don't ask for the sale. In any ad you do, you need to tell them the action. What's the call to action you want them to take? If ask for the credit card, ask to get that sale. Too many people don't do that, and that's super important to getting that revenue in the business. I'll give you a real life example of how I built a sales process based on ADA for my business in Australia. So we use this process to sign up 30,000 contractors as paying advertisers on our platform. So my business in Australia was a two-sided marketplace. We connected homeowners with contractors. So people that needed to get a painter, builder, carpenter, they were our advertisers and we'd connect them with the homeowners. So we use the ADA model to just structure our whole marketing and sales process. So what we did was, for attention, we built a team of cold callers because we were able to identify our wanders. Our target market was contractors, so we could pull them from lists of, they were advertising in the yellow pages. There was associations where they're accredited. So we could touch and find those customers, and we would get them and would cold call them. And the goal of that cold call wasn't to sell them. We were not trying to sell, just that wasn't the goal. Our goal was to get attention. So we'd call them and we'd give them a 30-day free trial. That's the goal. It's a pretty simple pitch, 30 days for free so they can see what we do. So we'd put them on a trial, that's attention. Then we had a separate team who would call 7 to 10 days, it was a 30-day trial, right, in our directory. So 7 to 10 days in, we would call them and help them get the most out of their trial, right? So just a customer service call. Again, we're not trying to sell, we're not trying to get a sale, we're just calling them to help them get the most of their trial, which is piquing their interest, because we're talking about their business. Have you seen your page? Have you seen your profile? Did you know you could send us some photos? There was like conversations we were having, just to build the interest in what we're doing. Then, just before the end of 30 days, a separate team, so it's a separate team, our sales team, who were the closers, they would call at the end, or just before the end of that trial, and they would go over the statistics. We generated some statistics on searches they appeared in, etc. They'll go over the statistics. They would talk about their actual business, how we could improve it and work with them on an ongoing basis on a year subscription, and we'd have that conversation. And they generally liked it because we had a good product. But again, liking it and being like desiring it isn't always enough. So how do we get that action? So we knew we needed the action, so we created urgency. So the sales team would offer them an extra month if they signed up before the end of the trial, right? So they're calling now, and so if you sign up, because the trial hasn't finished, if you sign up today, we'll give you an extra month, so it's 13 months for the price of 12. And that urgency was very effective in getting them to say yes now. Because otherwise, when we didn't offer that, it's like, that's awesome, I love it, I'm going to do it, but can you just like call me next week? You know, and when it happens, like, what happens next week? Nothing, right? they get quieter, it gets colder, so you need to have that action. So we use that to get our 40% conversion rate from trial to sales. So we knew, and then this was, talk about the operating systems Lauren was talking about. We could forecast our sales really well because we knew that everyone we put on trial, 30 days later, we sold 40% of them. So it just became a math game of how we accelerate that process. Again, just using ADA. So get more reps on the phone to put people on trial, to build that attention, make sure we have enough people to build the interest, and have enough people to do the desire and action. So, there's different ways to apply this to your business. Everyone's business in here is different, so it just depends on how you would do it, but everyone is the same in that you need to go through this process. You just need to build attention and awareness of your business, get people to know you. So the question is, what can you do to get people to know you? What can you do so they know you exist? How can you build interest? How can you communicate with them? Like build a way for them to understand more about what you're doing, help them, and then desire and action, turning it into, wanting to do business with you and having that urgency. Can you guys think of some things you could do in your business to create urgency on your sales? Could you think of a way that it could be more compelling? If you're putting out a quote, could you make it more compelling to sign sooner rather than later? It's if you can do that, it's just such a more effective way to close sales for you. So I highly recommend that. ADA is a way to build a sales process, but there is a bonus step because retention is a bonus step because it's 5 to 7 times cheaper to retain an existing customer than to acquire a new one. Okay, so it's really important that to grow your business, to have a funnel of sales so that you're growing your business, but you can't neglect the power of your actual customer base because that's really where the profit is because it's much cheaper to get those people. So you want to retain these people. So what are some ways you can do that? Loyalty programs, having programs to reward them doing repeat purchases with yourself. Again, newsletters can be used for this. It's newsletter to your existing customers with offers in them, creating action, again, when you're communicating with your existing customers. Obviously, social media, keeping them connected with you. Special offers is key. Like give your existing customers special offers. Get them to come back. Customer-only events. Can you do an event for your existing customers? Can you something special for them to get them in a room and get them engaged in your services or your product? Telemarketing. Call your customers. Call them. Check in on them. See how they're doing. See if there's other offers for them. So there's a gold mine in your existing customers. They know who you are. You've already built interest. You've built desire. They liked you. They chose you. If you can go back and engage them and sell them more products, services, upsell, repeat purchases, that's just going to make a very big difference to your bottom line. There is one more bonus as well, another R. So it says ADA, retention, but referrals as well. Because wanders normally know other wanders, right? Like your customers tend to be similar people. So you also want to tap into your customers for referrals. Because if your customers are referring you, that's a really good way to get attention and interest and maybe desire in the same step because they know someone that's used you and are trusting you. So if you can encourage those referrals, ask for them in your newsletters, ask for them. You can do an incentive program where maybe if they refer someone, they get a discount or something extra. The new customer and potentially something for your existing customer as well. So these things make a real difference to your business. So really that's the main stuff I want to cover. It's sort of hard to cover sales and marketing in 25 minutes. But for me, the models and the basics are always what's important. And I just encourage all of you to be going back and just thinking about in your business how you can apply those principles. How can you build awareness of your services? How can you get people to engage you and like what you offer? How can you build that desire to make them want to do business with you and see themselves getting the benefit of your services? And most importantly, action. Just if you can create urgency and incentive, it's going to make a big difference to the amount of revenue you're getting on your marketing campaigns and the way you're targeting your sellers. I've got about two minutes left. Does anyone have any questions? What? Yeah, so it's a really good question because the question is how do we connect the home? I talked about how we acquire the contractors. How do we acquire the homeowners? We did a lot of online marketing. So again, it is attention, interest, desire, action. But we would do a lot of online marketing. So SEO, SEM. We spent a lot of money on Google Ads. Again, the hack is Google is a good way to find people that are searching for something that you want. And if you can insert yourself into that, then that's a really good way. But the same thing, we would get them through Google, but then we would get them on our newsletter and we would engage them weekly with home improvement tips because someone who was searching for a painter one day probably wants a plumber another day and an electrician the next day. And that was really the key. And that allowed us to be the fact that we engaged them allowed us to be very aggressive in our marketing because we were okay to break even on a first job with a consumer because we knew that once we got them, they became a customer and that retention thing stepped in and that allowed us to really be profitable as we repurpose them and continue to engage them, continue to build that interest and desire. And again, awareness that they might have found us for that painter, but building awareness with our existing customers that there's 140 different categories we covered. So building that awareness. So drip campaigns are great. I mean, that is definitely like a way to build interest and desire. You're continuing to prompt people. So that's a great example of building interest and desire. And if you're putting into those drip campaigns special offers and urgency, then you're activating the action part and you're converting them. As opposed to lists, it really depends on what industry you're in. Cybersecurity, interesting. So I'm sure there are lists, and if it's easy to find, they need your service. I couldn't tell you specifically. I mean, the list really depend on the bit, but I mean, there's a lot of information out there, and you can definitely, find businesses of a certain size that whoever your ideal client is, you can. There's lists around, Any business with a computer, yeah. Well, you probably want to, but like Lauren was saying, you want to nail that down to like the people who generally spend money and who are going to be good customers. But yeah, I have hit red, yes. We did that. We did a bit of both, actually. So we did a lot. We hired people. So we had like a head of SEO, a head of SEO. So we had people inside. We would get agents. I did very much like getting people from the outside, more to consult, but I like to own the knowledge inside. So like that consultants would normally come. They might do a few months. They'd normally do a whole report on like things to do, and then we would like action that, and we would own it in-house. So. Yeah. I mean, it relates to how much revenue it's generating and if you can afford it in-house. But for us, we generally want to own the knowledge, of a process that's important. To us, SEO and SEM was really important. It was a very big part of what we did for getting the homeowners. So, but I don't know, you shake it up. I think it's good if you just have an employee, you want to encourage them to get consultancies and to speak to people so they're also broadening their horizon. Cool. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.